We can't be pictured in the same frame, and I can't sit across from him either because I'm a woman. I've been coming to Afghanistan since 2019.
It's delicious, I can't talk.
This is my room. This is where I'll be sleeping for a few nights. Over the years, I've travelled across it, and I've been on the ground witnessing the changes imposed by the Taliban since they regained power in 2021 after foreign troops withdrew following 2 decades of war. Someone from the Taliban police has come to stop us to see what we're filming.
Because we're women, we can't actually go into those parks.
Access to the country is tightly controlled by the Taliban government. And even once you're inside, there's a lot of paperwork to wade through before you can get started.
Do you have the letters? Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Information and Culture, Ministry of Public Health.
My team and I recently spent nearly a month in the country, meeting people in cities and villages, hearing about the severe restrictions women are facing and the unprecedented hunger crisis engulfing the country.
Sanjay, they ran towards something. It was bread. Somebody gave them bread.
After days of negotiations, we also secured an interview with a senior Taliban official. How can you continue to justify this ban on education on girls and women? So after 5 days of waiting, we finally got our first set of permissions to operate in Afghanistan, and we're just on our way now to do our first bit of filming in this country on this trip. On our visits to Afghanistan, one of the key stories we've consistently reported on is the impact of the brutal restrictions imposed on women by the Taliban government. Women have to be covered from head to toe with only their eyes visible, and increasingly this dress code is being vigorously enforced. We also follow a dress code when we're in the country, but because we're foreign, my colleague Imogen Anderson and I get away with wearing loose gowns and covering our hair. But on a few occasions, we have encountered the morality police ordering us to cover our faces. Women are banned from numerous public places, including parks. From a balcony overlooking one park, we saw men playing with their children, their wives waiting alongside us. Of course, the most shocking restriction is the bar on education for girls. Afghanistan is the only country in the world to impose it. Younger girls can still go to school, but after the age of 13, that stops. In a discreet location, we met some older teenagers, enrolled in one of a few short-term English courses which continue, slipping through the cracks of Taliban diktats. One had travelled hundreds of miles to Kabul to avoid being forced into marriage by her family. We can't identify her for her safety.
Before the ban, my parents passionately encouraged me to study. They believed in me and told me I can definitely achieve my dream of becoming a pilot. But now they say the best way for me is to get married, because I can't go to school, to university, I can't even work. I'm afraid if I return to Daikundi, I will be forced to get married.
How long do you think you can resist? How long do you think you can hold the line?
I will keep resisting until I can no longer breathe. I want a better future.
While we were speaking to Afghan women, we were also trying to secure an interview with the Taliban spokesman so we could challenge him about the ban. It would take several more days before that happened. We've just finished a really long day of interviewing Afghan girls and women about the ban on education. They're difficult interviews because it's a really basic right that's being denied to half of the population of this country. It's depressing, it's saddening to listen to those stories. What I'm also just incredibly amazed by is how much courage and resilience and the strength that they want to speak out. They want the world to hear their voice. At the end of days like these, it's exhausting, but I also feel charged up. I also feel that we've got a huge responsibility to get those voices out.
Sorry, I need to stop chewing my first bite.
I'll film him first.
So that's a really warm piece of bread that I've just gotten. I absolutely love it. It's delicious, I can't talk while I'm eating it.
Afghan bread has sustained us on many long days. By now, we'd been in the country for over a week, preparing reports to go out across TV, radio and digital. We've been filming in the street here, and what we've had, as we always have, is someone from the Taliban police has come to stop us to see what we're filming. We do have a letter of permission from the police headquarters, but even that, it does require some amount of negotiation to actually, for them to actually allow us to continue working. And even on quite a simple story where we're just filming the markets here.
After the war ended in 2021, one of the things that has changed in Afghanistan, that it's relatively safe to get around. We've been able to travel across the country, and ordinary Afghans are slowly getting accustomed to not living under the constant fear of bombs and explosions. But a new conflict with neighbouring Pakistan that broke out in October 2025 is threatening this relative peace. Hundreds have been killed in strikes from across the border. We looked into one of the deadliest strikes, not just during this conflict, but in Afghanistan's recent history. In March, a Pakistani airstrike in the capital Kabul killed at least 269 people. It hit a drug rehabilitation centre.
You understand English? A little bit?
We spoke to the family of 35-year-old Muhammad Anwar Walizada, a father of 6, who was killed in the attack. Anwar's brother Sadiq said they spent days going through horrific photos of the dead to identify their brother's severed body.
It was painful to not know whether he was dead or alive, and then to find him cut in half. It was traumatic.
Islamabad denies it hit civilians. It says it targeted terrorist infrastructure, accusing the Taliban government of harbouring militants that are carrying out strikes in Pakistan. We put that response to Anwar's brother.
The whole world knew this facility. It wasn't a military base. It housed patients and addicts. Targeting hospitals is not Islamic nor human. This is savage cruelty.
We've just finished filming an interview. It was quite a difficult one, and my colleague Sanjay is just getting some shots of the surroundings. And normally whenever we do this, we always attract a little bit of attention, so you can see all the kids in the area have gathered here and they're having a look at what he's doing.
The next day, we continued gathering evidence of the attack. At a mass grave where tens of the victims are buried, my colleague Mahfouz Zubaydi and I spoke to Masouda, the sister of Mirwais.
Do you know where your brother is buried in this graveyard?
She doesn't know exactly where Mirwais's grave is, because all they found of her 24-year-old brother, a pharmacist, was his torso, which she identified by a birthmark.
My brother's body was in pieces. There was nothing left of him to give to us, so they buried him here. After our mother died, I raised him like a son. He lost his job, and that's why he got addicted to drugs.
Masouda told us she comes every week to the graveyard to pray for her brother and the other victims.
So it's become really hard to operate here because for every small bit you need permissions. We've now come down from the hill and you can just basically get a real good view of the city from where we are, and we want to get some shots, but obviously we can't just stop, get out and start filming them. We need to ask the Taliban checkpoint that's behind us.
Yes.
When people think of Afghanistan, they often only think of war and conflict. But on the streets of Kabul, Afghan life and culture is always on vibrant display. To get a real pulse of this country, we went to a traditional restaurant to meet Shoaib Sharifi, the head of the BBC's Afghan service, who has, in his 25 years as a journalist, covered different regimes go in and out of power in Afghanistan.
There have been, in the past 40 years, there have been sort of a consistency of regimes that are lasting up to 5 years. And each time when it's the year 5, people are like, gosh, it's year 5. There will be a regime change, whether towards the beginning of the year or end of the year. By the way, it's also the 5th year of the Taliban. But each time I've written Fall of Kabul, the first one did happen after exactly 5 years of the Mujahideen regime. And we were like worried what's going to happen. Kabul fell, coincidentally, to the Taliban. The third one did last for 2 decades.
What is it that you think foreign journalists miss about this country when we report about this country?
The diverse. When you go on the streets and you see how diverse we are, we have been in the crossroad of civilizations. You can hardly find 2 Afghans to look alike. That means so diverse cultures. It's really beauty in hospitality and love and kindness. But unfortunately, some bitter reminders of war have stamped a different image.
To get an in-depth sense of what's happening in the country, it's really important to get out of the capital, Kabul. But getting around this mountainous country is not straightforward. Road journeys can take days and can be dangerous. We managed to sort access to a small 6-seater aircraft which would fly us to the remote Ghor province from Kabul. The cabin was not pressurized, so when we went above a certain elevation, we had to turn on the oxygen supply so we wouldn't have difficulty breathing. After flying over the striking Hindu Kush mountains for about 90 minutes, we arrived in Chakcharan, the capital of Ghor province. We travelled there to cover another story we've consistently followed over the past 5 years: the spiralling crisis of hunger in Afghanistan.
Since we've arrived in Afghanistan, which was 10 days ago, it's taken us all of that time, lots of negotiations to get this stack of permissions from different Taliban ministries and departments to finally get permission to be here in the Ghor province to look at the humanitarian situation. And we're not there yet. We still have at least 2 more Taliban offices to go to in the province. We're waiting outside one right now. An official told us he would be here, but let's see if he is. Of course, when we do have all those permissions, it doesn't mean we don't have editorial independence to operate on the ground. We don't have a Taliban official accompanying us when we are doing our work on the ground, but it is a bureaucratic process to get the permissions to actually film, and we have to follow that.
Is he aware that we are here?
Eventually, after some waiting around, the official did arrive and sorted our permission slips.
Shakiba. Where's Shakiba? Shakiba. There's
The next morning, we headed to Ghor Hospital, where we saw the morning rush. Hunger makes children vulnerable to disease. The best hospitals in the world would struggle to manage this load. In Afghanistan, it's severely depleted medical facilities like this one, which try every day to provide a feeble lifeline to those at risk. Newborn babies are most in danger, underweight because their mothers didn't have enough to eat. While we were in the neonatal ward, twin babies were wheeled in, just born, premature, and struggling to breathe. One of the baby girls died just hours after birth, before even being named. The baby turned blue and was shaking. The doctors tried to save her, but she died. I hope this other one survives, she says. Days later, the family had to make the heartbreaking decision of taking the surviving twin out of hospital as well, because they simply couldn't afford her medicine.
So we've just finished a very difficult day of filming at the hospital. There's really just no facilities here. And I think the most shocking bit of being here is being told by people in the hospital that they have to get patients to buy their own medicines because they can't provide any. And most of the people we met simply can't afford it. But our day is not over yet. We've only got really 2 days on the ground after many days of getting permissions. So we want to make every minute count. So now we're off to do a bit more filming in the community close by.
In the communities nearby, we found more evidence of a silent wave of child deaths. We've consistently documented this. It's triggered by dramatic cuts in aid, the policies of the Taliban government, and natural disasters like severe drought. Emergency levels of hunger affect nearly 5 million people. That's more than a tenth of the population, which means they are just one step away from famine. This is the worst ever level recorded for this country.
So the last time that we were in Ghor province, there wasn't actually even a basic hotel to stay at. So we actually stayed at someone's home. They were kind enough to allow us in. This time there is a newish hotel that has come up. And so that's where we're staying. This is my room. This is where I'll be sleeping for a few nights. Electricity is a huge problem. We only have it for 3 hours in the evening after 7 o'clock. And so we've got to come back real quick, put everything on charge, all our batteries, so that we can continue to operate. And it is still pretty cold here in the night, so we've got to carry our sleeping bags as well.
What do you think? Why is it not coming? So our car hasn't showed up today.
So we've got to take a different ride. We're just trying to get some auto rickshaws going because we need to be somewhere really quick, so we can't wait. We're going to this area where anybody who's a daily wage earner, they gather there in the morning, and contractors and other people come and take them from there. But we have to be there in certain time, so can't afford to be late. So we have now decided to hail two auto rickshaws. Our colleagues, our cameraman and our Afghan producer are in the one in front of us, and we're here. When we arrived at the gathering point, hundreds of men were already there. Our colleague, producer Mahfouz Zubaydi, helped us translate what they were saying as Sanjay Ganguly, our cameraman, was filming. Some had travelled for days to get there. Others had been coming for weeks with no luck. We're starving and no one gives me work because I'm old, Khwaja Ahmed told us as he broke down. Soon a man offering work came by.
So this man on a motorcycle has come to find labourers. You can just see how many people are throwing themselves at him, the sheer desperation to find a day of work. In the past couple of hours, we've seen a couple of cars coming by, lots of men throwing themselves at the car. The reality is that most of these people are going to walk away from here without having found work.
As our time in Ghor came to an end, we headed back to the tiny airport terminal. In the background, we were still trying to secure a sit-down interview with the Taliban government.
It's our super producer Imogen Anderson's birthday today. We've started celebrating it in Ghor, but now we're waiting for a flight back to Kabul.
Happy birthday! Thank you! Happy birthday to you!
After landing back in Kabul, we went out for a meal for Imogen's birthday, a rare outing for us in Afghanistan. Over the next few days, we continued filming and editing our reports. Then finally, we got confirmation that the interview was happening.
We've come to the Taliban government's media center. We've been promised an interview with their deputy spokesman. And I hope that'll happen soon now. There's lots of questions to ask him about the conflict with Pakistan, about women's education, a fifth academic year that has begun without schools reopening for girls, about the humanitarian situation in the country, the issues that aid agencies are having operating on the ground. So I hope he sits through all of that and answers the questions. I remember sitting downstairs in this place when the Republic was in power, and I remember they used to also hold their press conferences here. It's a different government now, but more or less the same setting. We can't be pictured in the same frame, and he also won't sit across from me. So the way we'll be sitting is he'll be sitting there, our translator will be sitting here, I will be sitting here, but there is editorial independence to ask the questions that are needed, and so this crosses the bar for an interview that we would do.
Before the interview, I changed my scarf to a red one because our cameraman said it would look better on camera. Hamdullah Fitrat is the Taliban government's deputy spokesman. It would be rare for an Afghan female journalist to be given this opportunity.
It's now been more than 4.5 years you've been in government. How can you continue to justify this ban on education on girls and women?
Regarding the ban on education, our figures show that around 7 million boys and 5 million girls are currently studying. The restriction on education beyond grade 6 is a separate issue. When secondary and higher education for girls will be opened is a question for the Ministry of Education, and hopefully they will provide a satisfactory response.
For nearly 5 years now, we've been speaking to women and girls in your country. At the very beginning, they used to tell us maybe it'll open in a few years. Now they tell us they do not believe that their education will be reopened under your watch. Is that true? Do you recognize that a whole generation of women, their lives, their dreams, they're already over?
The Islamic Emirate is committed to granting women their rights according to Islamic law.
Over the years, we have challenged the Taliban on this issue multiple times.
Your government, your leaders have said that women should not return to work right now because of the security situation. You've said the same thing about girls going to secondary schools. So it's not true that you have allowed them and they are not going. Classes were always segregated for boys and girls, even before the 15th of August. So what problem is there in opening the schools?
Our religious scholars have issues with the safety of girls traveling to and from schools.
Is your government willing to take responsibility for your share of what you should be doing to further expand the aid that is coming to your country? It's been 3 years now since girls were locked out of schools, but it hasn't happened on the ground. Do you really expect people to believe that you are committed to actually doing it?
We are awaiting the decision of our leadership.
Their answers keep changing, but there is no shift in policy. After 4 weeks in Afghanistan, we'd reported on multiple stories and covered them across BBC News. But throughout it all, it was hard not to be constantly reminded of the exclusion of women from society, which is visible everywhere.
We're waiting in a restaurant which overlooks an amusement park in the city. It's got Ferris wheels and a merry-go-round and a few other fun rides. Because we're women, we can't actually go into those parks. That was banned about 3.5 years ago, late 2022, if I remember correctly. And so what we're seeing right now are basically families who've come here together, and then the dad or the men in the groups, they basically take the children and go down. And the women are only able to sit here, have a cup of tea and look at them. Now this is a really small joy, it's a really simple joy in people's lives where, it's a holiday and they've come here to have a little bit of fun. But even that little bit of fun, Afghan women are denied that.
During their 5 years in power, we've seen the Taliban systematically silence Afghan women. And the countries that once promised to stand by women and girls are increasingly quietly looking away.